Welcome to the Bitter to Better, the podcast dedicated to transforming heartbreak into healing. I'm Angie, and I'm thrilled to be joined by a panel of incredible divorce professionals who are here to guide you through the tumultuous journey of divorce and lead you toward a brighter, more fulfilling future. In each 30-minute episode, twice a week on Wednesday evenings and Sunday mornings, we'll dive deep into the challenges, emotions, and lessons that come with divorce. Whether you're navigating the legal labyrinth, managing co parenting conflicts, or simply looking to rebuild your life, we've got invaluable insights and inspiring stories lined up just for you. So, if you're ready to shift from the bitterness of ending relationships to the empowerment of starting anew, you're in the right place. Let's turn those difficult chapters into stepping stones toward a better tomorrow. So, grab your coffee or tea, whatever your beverage is, and get cozy, and let's get started. So, first off, we want to introduce our panel experts. We have Elise Morgan, Chris Calla, and Dominique Laundry. If each of you wouldn't mind just letting everybody know who you are and what you do, and then we'll get right into the heart of the matter here. So, let's start off with Chris Calla.
Hi, Angie. Thank you so much for having me today. I am thrilled to be here on the podcast. I am a transformational life coach. I'm a speaker. I'm a real estate investor, and I am also the founder of the Wilderness Compass, which is a wellness program that guides women through every stage of divorce. My main focus is to help women rebuild their resilience, find their purpose, and embrace joy as they transform their lives. So it's such a pleasure to be here. I love speaking about mindset, and I'm excited to be a part of this great panel of experts.
Fabulous. We're so great to have you, Chris. All right, let's head over to Dominique.
Hi, I'm Dominique Laundry. So I am a family lawyer, divorce mediator, and heart-centered divorce strategist. I help my clients navigate every stage of divorce without regret so they can move forward and create a life they love.
Love it. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Dominique. And Elise, let's head off with you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I like to say that I help women, I aspire and awaken women to create their own happily ever after and go through divorce instead of feeling powerless and small to feeling powerful. And I like to say to go from being a doormat and to be a diva and to take their power back so that they can be the wonderful, beautiful human being that they are and create their very own happily ever after.
Beautiful. Love that. Okay. So today's topic is part 2 of a 4-part series. The series is From Heartbreak to Hope, Embracing the Journey of Divorce. Last episode was covering the topic of grief. And today's exciting topic is the power of mindset. So if you haven't seen the last episode, please make sure go and search that out. It is a critical step to get you moving forward. So today we're covering the power of mindset, where we dive deep into how our thoughts shape our lives, especially during life's toughest transitions. Imagine standing at a crossroads, heartbroken, but filled with the potential for renewal. Your mindset can be the compass that guides you through the uncertainty. In this episode, we'll uncover the transformative power of growth mindset. We're going to share some inspiring stories of resilience and equip you with practical strategies to shift your perspective from one of despair to one of hope. So, whether you're currently navigating the waves of separation or supporting someone who is, get ready to discover how embracing the right mindset can turn heartbreak into a powerful catalyst for personal growth. Let's begin this journey together. So, we want to get into some real life stories here. So, I want to hear from each of you just a short synopsis of a story where mindset kind of was that. What was that aha that you needed to figure out that, wow, I need to switch, kind of turn that dial of your mindset? Um, let's go to the mindset queen, Elise. Let's hear a little bit from you.
Oh, I like that, the mindset queen, because I used to refer to myself as the mindset whisperer. So um, the first thing that comes to mind for me is that I realized a lot of us women, especially going through divorce, were focused on what our soon-to-be ex-husband is doing or what they cause for us to feel like we're feeling, or everything is like he. Look at he's doing all these things. And in my situation, it was a lot of, without knowing at the time, like mental abuse and just stuff like that. And I think my aha moment was when I stopped focusing on him, two people, and said, wait a minute, why am I allowing this? And why am I here? So in that little flip of that question of, instead of saying, why are they doing this? What can I do to change them? It was like, why am I here? Why am I allowing this? And the mindset was like almost taking my power back without realizing it at the time. That was the catapult of my whole experience and why I've gotten into this type of coaching. So that's the short version. But the aha moment was, why am I here? Why am I allowing this? And focusing on me and taking accountability for my part in it.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you, Elise. Um, Chris, what was your catapult or your catalyst mindset moment?
Yeah, first of all, I loved Elise's example. I thought it was so powerful, and I'm just so grateful that she has the ability to share that, because so many of us get stuck, right? My personal experience actually was my catalyst that helped inspire me to go in that same direction as well. I found myself, and it wasn't an instant thing for me. It took some time and it took some realization. And I also think that it took some just real inner work to identify what was really going on with my mind. But the most powerful thing for me was, I had been married for 18 years, and I found myself on my 50th birthday looking at my life. My divorce was literally almost finalized at that point. And I kept saying to myself, because I was stuck in this pattern of just, toxic mindset from having been in a similar situation as well, where it was a very unhealthy marriage. And unfortunately, my mind was already wired to believe that my life was over at 50 years old. Mm-hmm. And so after a few months of having myself a very large pity party, all accessories included, I decided that after a while that I needed to look differently at the whole situation. And I really needed to insert some gratitude into where I was now. And I decided to make a change. And the first change that I decided to make was, instead of saying my life is over at 50, was I get to start my life over at 50 years old. What a great gift this is for me. And opening that gift over the next several years has taken me through such a journey. And that's where I started, but there's so much more, obviously, but that's just the short version.
Wow, that's, incredible nuggets to take away from that. Mm-hmm. Dominique, what was your catapult, your aha, that kind of spark, that light bulb that went off as far as mindset?
So my personal divorce journey goes back 21 years. So the ahas still keep happening. But I think as I was listening to both of you speak, I was like, what is the most powerful lesson that I've learned over the years, that and what is one of the first lessons I share with my clients, is that, first of all, mindset is everything. Like it's everything. It completely, so how you think and feel about divorce in general will impact your marriage, FYI, and how you feel about divorce, navigating divorce will completely change your experience of it, like completely. The mindset, whether you're going to approach it from a victim mentality, as Elise mentioned, or from an empowered place, you're going to have a completely different experience. But probably one of the most powerful learnings that I had, and I can remember the moment I learned it, was to let go of the things you can't control and take all of that time and energy that we spend. I call it trying to nail Jello to the wall. It's an impossible thing to do. We can't control someone else's thoughts or feelings or behaviors. We just can't. So instead of spending all that time and energy trying to control things we can't control, to take all of that time and energy and focus on the things we actually can control and double down on that, that's when life changes. That's when divorce change, and it applies to all areas of our lives. That was the pivotal moment for me where everything changes from there. And I'm not saying it's easy, but it really is that simple. It really is. Yeah.
How can we develop a positive mindset? So let's dive into that a little bit. If you are coming from, you're got the blinders on, you're seeing red, you're just like in that, as somebody mentioned, that huge pity party with all the accessories. How do you do that shift? Is it, yeah, just let's dive into that a little bit. So Chris, let's start off with you, because I remember you mentioning that deep pity party.
Sure. Yeah. And so for me, and what I share with my clients is it's small steps. It's really built on creating an action plan and a goal, but making those goals very small in the beginning, and shifting your routine in some small way, creating activity and action around an intent is really what's going to link the two. And I believe truly that mindset is made in the morning. I follow a routine that is something that I have established over the last several years since my divorce, that I have chosen to implement one step at a time. And I have built micro habits on top of one another so that it wasn't overwhelming for me. Because when you talk about that's a real thing, that freeze situation. You're in flight or fight for all those years, but then people forget about that other stage, the freeze stage, where you just don't know how to get unstuck and how to do anything or one thing. So what you really want to do is kind of examine where you need to start first initially, and that usually takes place from the inside out, but it also has to do with what you are trying to accomplish with your next steps. And so for me, just to give you a visceral example, my first thing was I need to be healthier. I need to be healthier for me. And so that started out with a small goal. My goal was, I was so overweight. I was so unhealthy. I used to drink a lot. I used to just be very, very unmotivated to do a lot of things personally for me. So my first investment in myself was to just walk every day. And I had one goal, and that goal was 5,000 steps a day. And I decided that was going to be my first thing. And I said to myself, no matter what, I made a deal with myself that it was non-negotiable, that every day I would decide to show up for myself in that one small way. And then I would just build on top of that one more thing. And the other thing that, like I said before, really kind of cements it together is writing it down, saying it out loud, and having gratitude over the whole situation, being grateful that you get to take one step in front of the other. I think about all the things that I used to do that I couldn't do before that I can do now. And that's what really helps propel me forward whenever I set a new goal. Is like, okay, look back, you did that thing. Remember, you ran your first 5K. This past summer, you went zip lining for the first time because you finally didn't have to, adhere to a weight limit. So all those things kind of, motivate you to keep going forward, and you just kind of become addicted to setting new goals. But it all starts with something small.
Perfect. Yeah, just one step at a time. One step at a time. Dominique, what
Um,
what is your go-to for that?
I love what you're saying, Chris, because what you're saying is you made a choice to focus on what you could control and you double down on that. Yeah, it works, right? Um, I when you were asking the question initially, Angie, I'm like, oh, the listeners aren't going to like the answer, right? It starts with awareness. So the first thing is you have to realize no one can make me feel anything. I choose what I feel with my thoughts. You may say something to me, you may do something or not do something that I think you should do. It's what I make it mean, it's how I think about it that creates the feeling. And we do have a choice. Now, I get that that doesn't happen out of the gate, but I think the simplest, yes, I think the simplest, one of the simplest tools that I share with my clients is this concept I call fed versus gapped. Fed versus gap. And we won't have time to get into it. But one of the biggest mistakes that we make, and we make it without realizing we're doing it, which is why that awareness is so important, right? Once we realize what we're doing that is contributing to how we feel, only then can we make the deliberate choice to be like, okay, this isn't working. What can I do instead? And so it's as simple as instead of focusing on what we don't have, don't want, don't like, focus on what you do have, do want, do like. And that's where that gratitude, when you were speaking, Chris, I'm like, oh yes, gratitude. Gratitude is like, it's the secret weapon that I think because there's so much talk about gratitude over the years, it's kind of like lost. It's like, yeah, gratitude. Rah, rah. No. Like it really does work. So yes, instead of focusing on what you don't have, don't want, don't like, focus on what you do have and what you do want and what you do like, and do more of that, which is exactly what you're describing, Chris. Yeah, super powerful.
Love that. Love that.
And pen to paper. Put pen to paper.
Ooh.
What you said about writing it down, that's how this works. That's where the awareness comes from, right? Put those things on paper so you can see them and increase your awareness. Sorry, Angie, go ahead.
Oh, no, absolutely. Couple things really important there. You know what? The definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting it to change, right? I mean, we've all been there. We all know that. And we can all say, oh, crap, did it again. Like, I can hear the Britney Spears song now. Oops, I did it again, right? But we get there, and the more that we consciously put some of these things in place, the quicker we can make those changes. Elise.
Yes,
let's hear from you, because I think you're...
Chris, I would have had pegged you at like 35 years old. So, to you. So that means you're definitely more than 50. So you look great. Dominic, both of you look great. And what I love about this is like, Chris and Dominic say the same exact thing almost that I was going to say. And I love that we all have the same almost ground, like the methodology may be different, but the same, ground rule, if you will. But also, like Dominique, the first thing that came to mind for me was awareness. And I have this method of the 9 A's to happiness and life and divorce. If you can use it for anyone. And the first A is awareness. So if you don't have awareness, like, Angie, you mentioned blinders on, we cannot make someone take their blinders off. So like someone has to almost have that happen to them, whatever their rock bottom is, whatever their frustration is, whatever point they get to, if they're not aware, there's nothing you can really do, right? So the awareness has to come, whether it comes from us speaking and someone heard us speak, however it comes, at 100%, the awareness has to come in before you can move forward, because you can be living under a rock and that's where you're going to stay. And another A that I have is the acceptance of where you are. In divorce, especially in our group, I see a lot of people, they're fighting where they are. They're just fighting. Like they're not accepting of what's in front of them. And if you don't accept what's in front of you, then you can't make a sound decision and make a responsible decision going forward and take your power back in that respect. And one of the first things I help clients with is get into gratitude. nothing, just if you can find at least 3 things, but if not one thing to be grateful for, you could shift the way you feel. And I'm a firm believer as we feel our way to our goals. We feel it. You have to feel it first from the inside out. And that's where the personal development and the inner work comes into play. And, you know, we can go all day with this kind of subject matter, but it is just becoming responsible for your own well-being, your own self, and your own life. And like you said, Dominique, it's not about what that other person is doing. It's like, how are you responding to that? And like Chris said too, we're conditioned as humans, first and foremost. And then you're also conditioned about how marriage is supposed to be or not be, conditioned to how divorce is supposed to be or not be. And there is no tried and true one linear way of anything in our lives for that matter. So it's just a matter of, you know, taking that step back and finding your inner power, your inner being. And I feel like the easiest thing to do is to teach gratitude. And like Dominique, you said, it's becoming like this, like, oh, I'm grateful. No, not just say it. You have to feel it. And I'm a firm believer also in that morning. You know, I have a non-negotiable also in the morning of meditation and affirmations and journaling and stretching. And, you know, I need it. You know, it just, you know, and on the days you don't feel like doing it is the most important time to do it. So in divorce in and of itself is just becoming aware of how you're getting in your own way. It's your responsibility to take control of your life first and foremost, and also how you want to go about your divorce. And I also, Dominique, also teach clients, you can only control your part. No matter, you can't control anyone else. You can't control how your husband's going to be, how they're going to be in court, no court. You can only control you and how you react. And when you can become that powerful woman and not be like that doormat in the divorce that maybe your soon-to-be ex-husband is so used to treating you such as, then you all of a sudden magic happens. I call it, you live in the magic place, because you're just so, nothing could shake your well-being. But that's how I help clients get to. That was a little long, but
at least that's the sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows phase. I get that. I love that.
Well, but for me, it's like, and I'm so glad you spoke, because I was like, do we talk when the other person's talking? But like, it's not sunshines and rainbows. It's none of that. You have to become powerful when you're in the ditches. You're in boots to the ground. Like that's when you become powerful, not when you don't become powerful during your journaling and you're grateful and you're, the well-being feeling. You become powerful when you go through it and you allow yourself to feel the crap that you don't want to feel, or face the things you don't want to face. And then you do them and you come out on the other side. That's when you become powerful. You don't just sprinkle a little journaling into your life and all of a sudden you're like, this diva and know how to do everything. It's when you allow yourself to go through the hardest parts of your life and come out on the other side is when you really see the difference.
I think it's a decision to lead too. I think it's a decision to be like, what do I want my divorce journey to look like? How do I want to show up separate from how the other person's showing up? And so instead of being reactive when they're not showing up the way we would like them to, instead of us following their steps and lowering where we're coming from, to say, no, this is how I'm going to show up. How I show up has nothing to do with how you show up. That's what you were saying, right? At least I decide what I want my experience to be like. What do I have to do to make that happen? I'm not just going to react. And if you want to be difficult or nasty or bitter, doesn't mean I have to stoop to that level, right? I get to choose. I get to lead.
I agree.
100%.
100%. Yeah. And I think that when we're in that part of the phase, that's the phase where we have to, with our mindset, connect to our body, as far as how, when you're in those situations that you just described, Dominique, where you're engaging with somebody who you already have an established pattern, how do you show up differently when there's already a neural pathway of behavior and a dance and a cadence to that just, that whole, and how do you make that change? How do you shift, so to speak, so that you can behave and show up differently and honor yourself? And I think it comes from your identifying and understanding where you're in your body, those sensations are showing up when you are interacting with people in that way, and being more attuned in that way as well. I think that can be really powerful for somebody who's trying to shift from being, sucked back into that mindset of, oh gosh, this is where I have to go again. Just because I'm in the same space as this person, I have to rewire my mind to behave differently. And that's something that, even years later, several of us still may or may not, kind of sense in our interactions with our ex-spouses and things like that. So I think it's really important what you were saying, that we understand that that's a process, right?
Yeah, and I think the awareness is the
Absolutely.
number one.
So,
You can't do anything you just said,
sorry, I'm
Chris,
just
without
going
having
to
the
bring
awareness.
it. Sorry, I'm just going to bring it back here because we want to make sure that we can get. I mean, these are all such incredible takeaways and points. So I'm going to attempt to see if we can go to brevity for the next question. What's one piece or one takeaway? And I think I can probably see it with all of you, but one takeaway or tip that you can give somebody for that power of mindset, how to use that going forward. Even just, a few words, see what we can come up with that. Elise.
I think to just be real quick is to take that step back and see how you're showing up and how you're thinking and what you could do to improve your own way of looking at a situation. And then look at how your mind is responding. How are you speaking to yourself? How are you reacting? Become aware of how are you showing up to this whole situation.
Love that. Absolutely. Just that perspective shift. Dominique, few words. What's your takeaway or what's your tip for somebody?
Focus on what you can control. Put pen to paper, draw a line down the middle of the sheet. On one side of the sheet, what is beyond my control? On the other side, what is within my control? Ignore what's outside and place all of your time and attention doing the things you can control.
Oh, yeah. That's brilliance right there. Yeah, absolutely. Chris.
Yeah. And for someone who's just getting started, who may be feeling a little shaky on their own two legs, I would encourage you to look at somebody that you admire and borrow their confidence when it comes to mindset in the beginning, until you feel like you can flex your own muscles. I know Elise is a fitness guru too, and I'm probably going to look at her and go, oh my gosh, that's goals right there. I'm going to borrow some of that confidence until I can, master that in my own area. So I would advise that, just anybody who's tackling mindset and they feel weak and they don't know where to start, just look to somebody who's already killing it in that area and just grab onto some of that and embody it and just be that person's best example while you're trying to take this new thing on.
Which brings us to our next episode that we're going to be going on this journey. So when we're looking at our next episode, we're looking at practical steps to move forward. So it's basically going to be a continuation of this episode, really. So if you're feeling stuck after a divorce and really wondering what you can do to take that next step, you're going to want to make sure that you join in for that episode, and where we're going to break down actionable strategies to help you reclaim your life and embrace new beginnings. from creating that vision of your future to setting achievable goals. We are going to guide you through practical tools that can transform your mindset and empower you to move forward with confidence. So tune in whether you are just starting this journey or you are looking for fresh inspiration. This episode is going to be packed with insights to help you rise above and thrive. You do not want to miss this. So, I want to encourage each of the audience members when you're watching this to like, subscribe, give us a comment. Let us know how this sat with you today. Did it rub you the wrong way? Is that maybe, you know, a point where you need to kind of look at yourself and wonder what needs to change? Let us know. And remember, no matter how bitter this ending may seem, your journey to better is just beginning. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.